This is Merkord, and I am a junior majoring in elementary education with a supplement in special education. Dr. Miller says, math is kind of like a puzzle. There is often more than one way to get the answer, which leads you to be creative. I love this quote because I think it explains math so well. There are so many different types of ways to solve a problem, and no matter which way you go, you will still end up with the same product. Growing up, math was always one of the easier subjects for me, which made it one of my favorite because I did not have to try at it as hard as I did other subjects. I was never in advanced math because I was never extremely good at it, but I was always able to complete the normal math easily. In elementary, I remember using manipulatives in first and second grade. This was a useful tool because I am a hands-on visual learner. There are so many different manipulatives for teachers to use, and teachers need to take advantage of the tools that will help students learn best. Students at this age need to understand what it is they are solving for and figuring out different ways to go about it, and this is where manipulatives will come in handy. In my future teaching, I want to use hands-on activities no matter the grade level because this is a great way for students to understand what it is they are actually learning. In third grade, I remember learning multiplication and division. My teacher would drill us until we knew all of them. Every day we would start math with having 1 minute to complete this worksheet full of problems. Once we completed the entire worksheet with 100% accuracy, we would get another worksheet with even more problems to complete in 1 minute. In doing this, it is creating a lot of pressure on the student to complete this worksheet, which then leads to the student to just memorizing the problems in order to complete it on time. As a teacher, there's other ways to test a student to see if they know the material instead of kill and drill. It is better for a student to understand the problem than to just memorize the answers. As a future teacher, I want to be able to assess and test my students in ways that is not time-focused and pressure-filled. In middle school and high school is when I enjoyed math the most. Algebra was definitely my favorite. I really enjoyed both of my algebra teachers. The way they expressed how much they loved math made the students want to be there and learn more. Each day we would bring our homework to class and put all of the problems on the board. Each student would go around and explain how they solved their problem. I think that this is good for students to see how their peers would solve problems because there are so many ways to go about solving a problem, and oftentimes teachers do not always teach the different ways. The teachers were always allowing us to ask questions, and they would give helpful tools for solving problems. As a future teacher, I want my students to be helping each other learn different ways I may not always see. Oftentimes, when a student sees a different way to go about a problem, it can help a student who might have been struggling to find a way to understand. As a future teacher, I want my students to explore math in different ways, and I want to allow my students to help each other in the class. In high school, I took geometry and found it was very difficult to learn. My teacher would teach in a monotone voice, which gave the class a negative feel to begin with. The atmosphere was not one that was inviting or that everyone was excited to learn in. The teacher would teach the material in a factual way, not giving students different ways to learn. Then, when it was time for a test, the majority of the class would not understand the material and then would fail the test. Afterwards, the teacher would just move on with the next lesson she was teaching. I think there is something wrong in the system when this is happening. As a future teacher, I think that if a lot of my students were not doing well in my class, I would try to figure out what is happening and what they were not understanding, then try to reteach the lesson or concept. While the students may not understand the material, because it is hard, it is the teacher's job to create different ways for students to understand the material. Even though I am not extremely good at math, it'll always be one of my favorite subjects. Math is something that a student can enjoy if they are taught by a teacher who loves it and teaches it in ways that are exciting and different. Even though I have had a couple of bad experiences with teachers, I will not let that take away from the great ones. Like I said at the beginning, math is like a puzzle, and there is more than one way to find the answer. So be that teacher that teaches with passion and allow your students to explore different ideas that will lead them to love math.